This is Moneyline Mania with Jazz and the crew.
Well, we have Mr. Blackhawk, or we call him Worldwide. How are you doing, Wes? How are you and your family doing? How's your son doing?
He's doing great, and thanks for asking. Everybody's doing good, and football season's in high gear, and weather's starting to cool down, and
Thank God.
Kansas City's a great place to be. You can smell the smoke burn ends in the air and getting ready for kickoff.
I love the fall. I love the winter. I love the cold. And I love New York right now. All day it was in the 70s. I wanted to go down to 60 and 50. It's probably going to take a couple of weeks to do that. Last year, it was in the 80s and 90s. It was so hot. But after the rainstorm that we had recently, it's just been better. It's been cooler. We have a breeze. So I'm actually excited that finally we can smell the leaves falling and the fall coming right around the corner. So I'm excited for that. But I know you're excited for college football this weekend and some NFL football. Finally, after we saw the Rams just get their butts whipped on Thursday, now we have a fantastic bunch of games coming up on Sunday. So are you ready to get into it?
I am ready to get into it. And it's been a while since I've given a loser on this show. 3 weeks in a row, I've given out college underdogs that have gone on to win outright, including Florida State last week. Florida beating Utah outright. The first week we called out Northwestern in that dog win over in Ireland. I'm looking at NFL tomorrow. It's NFL season. There's a couple things going on. On our Discord page on Chicago Options Trader, it's investing and smart money management. That's the basis of the page, having to do with the stock market and on the sports page. So I would advise all the listeners, look at what is your strategy. Are you here to gamble and just have some fun? Be reckless. Do whatever you got to do. That's fine with me. Just don't get angry when I go 3-1 and I blew your 4-way parlay. Are you investing? Are you trying to grow value? Are you looking at this like a 401k? Because that's my jam. That's really where we're living. If you were to look at your 401k and the growth this year, most people wouldn't be happy. You can look at the sports betting and the sports investing as 6 to 15% gain this week. You're going to find a way to win. Or are you looking for income? There's a system to where you're investing the same way, managing the same way, but actually pulling cash out on Money Monday. Looking at these games, I got a couple system plays that we're trying out. So first off, I'm going to track it. So every week on this show, even if I can't make it, Chaz is going to bring the information. We are going to bet on every single underdog. We're paper trading. Every single underdog, money line, $1. What is the balance going to be at the end of the year? Because I believe that you come out on top doing it. Just money line on all the underdogs. The other system play that I am actually going to put into action, what a system play is if this and this and this are going on, you bet this no matter what. There's no decision to be made. If the sky is blue and the helmets are purple and they're on the road, you bet that team. So this system play is in any game where the point spread is 7.5 or higher, and it happens to be a division game in the first 6 weeks, you bet the under. You bet the game under on that play. So there is not one this week, although we were flirting with it on that Pittsburgh and Cincinnati game. That spread kind of got up there, but that's actually the official play that I'm going to throw out there. I like Pittsburgh in this game. We're looking at a division matchup, and it is a 6.5 point spread. Pittsburgh's O-line, it's well documented how rough it is. I blame some of their O-line performance on Ben Roethlisberger should have retired 1 year too early. In both of the matchups last year, Roethlisberger threw 4 interceptions. I'm sorry, but you're going to lose those games if that's your quarterback's performance. You can't blame the O-line. I think Pittsburgh, their defense is phenomenal. Nothing's changed there. Just as good as it was last year. You look at Najee Harris, top 5 running back, or will prove to be so, great in the pass. And I don't think that Trubisky is going to give this game away. He's a little bit more athletic than Big Ben was last year. Oh, and by the way, there is this thing called the Super Bowl hangover. And it's very real. While we might not think it's going to happen to Cincinnati, there is some form of hangover. It does happen.
That's the LA Rams.
That's a perfect example. We just saw it on Thursday Night Football opening night. The Rams got spanked. I feel real good taking Pittsburgh and taking the 6.5 points. I don't know that they win outright, although I think they could. But I do like Pittsburgh to cover that point spread. And then we're looking at the rest of these system plays for the week. Love the underdog. Love the division underdog.
I also look at, with the New York teams, it's very interesting going into the season with the Jets, with Joe Flacco starting now that Zach Wilson probably isn't going to play until week 4, and Dwayne Brown could be out for a significant amount of time. Now you're hearing he might be in the IR. Does this give the opportunity to bet against the Jets throughout the next couple of weeks? Because they don't have their starting quarterback and they don't have their Pro Bowl lineman that they made a move for before the season even started. So I'm interested to see what the Jets are going to put up. Are they going to lay up a dud this week with the backup quarterback in Joe Flacco playing, or are they going to play well and keep the game close and maybe shock the world and knock off Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens? It's interesting.
I have no interest in it because it's just a higher point spread. But the part that's interesting is it opened at a 4-point spread. 86% of the tickets are on Baltimore. So much so that the spread is now 6.5. I see value on your Jets and taking the 6.5 points as a home dog. I'm not saying the Jets win. I'm not saying the Jets have a chance to win. I'm saying that number is really interesting. For a line to move 2.5 points, Flacco won a Super Bowl. That's a competent, capable quarterback.
Absolutely.
Probably more so than the guy he's filling in for.
Also, when you look at the fact that going into the game, a lot of Jet fans are actually more excited to see Zach Wilson sit for the next couple of weeks because he didn't play very well in the beginning of the season last year. So it gives him a little bit of time to play behind Joe Flacco, not start the season, get his feet wet, get to know the offense, get to know some of the players that he hasn't practiced with. When he gets healthy, go out there week 4 against Pittsburgh and maybe shock Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So it's so very interesting with the Jets. And then there's the Giants. They're playing a very good team this week. I know a lot of people expecting things to shine for the New York Giants. Leonard Williams took a pay cut. Thibodeau's not playing in this game. A lot of their young defensive players aren't playing in this game. So it's just so very interesting moving forward with the Giants and the Jets going into the season.
So I actually really like the Giants. Not one of my plays, but looking at that number, what I see there is math and numbers movement. That line 6.5. 54% of the wagers are on Tennessee. The line should move backwards. The line should move from 6.5 to 7, maybe 7.5. But instead, the line moved to 5.5. So that tells me that there's smart money on the G-men. There's either big money or smart money on the G-men, or the house are totally comfortable being exposed on the 5.5 Tennessee. I think taking the points on both of the New York teams, regardless of the personnel.
With the Jets and the Giants, nobody expects them to win game number 1. They both are playing two very good teams. The Jets playing Baltimore, and the Giants are playing Tennessee, who a lot of people believe are still contenders this year, even with the losses of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. It's going to be interesting. Maybe the Giants shock everybody and knock off Tennessee. I think the Giants have a better chance of knocking off Tennessee than the Jets knocking off Baltimore.
I agree with you. I don't think they're both losing, though, Errol. I think one of them is going to win. I don't know which one it is. With Tennessee, I agree with you in losing those receivers. Did Julio ever really make an impact with them?
No, Julio couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy the last 2 years with Atlanta. He hasn't stayed healthy over there with Tennessee, and now he's with the Buccaneers. How long is he going to be healthy over there with the Buccaneers?
I think that GOAT's going to put him in the end zone a couple times this year.
I believe he will, and I think they have so many weapons all over the field. They have Godwin, they have Evans. People are going to forget Julio Jones is on the other side. So is Julio Jones going to stay healthy? The man can't stay healthy. He's an all-pro, Pro Bowl, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a fantastic player. When he was on Atlanta, I believe for 5 years he was the best wide receiver. How many full seasons did Julio Jones have? Everybody looks at Dwayne Brown. He's 37, 38 years old. Dwayne Brown, for the last 4 years, played in almost every single game. Could you say that about Julio Jones in any part of his career? No. The only reason why the Buccaneers took on that because he took less money and he's playing with Tom Brady. Who knows what Tom Brady's going to be this year? With his family problems, he likes to inject himself in his face, so he has a completely different jaw. And
It's going to be hard to kiss his kid with.
He doesn't look healthy. Tom Brady did not look healthy the last time I saw his press conference. So maybe he's not eating, maybe it's stress, maybe it's frustration. I don't know, but it is Tom Brady, so I'm not going to bet against him.
I wouldn't bet against him either. Bad things happen to people that do, but I agree with everything you just said. What do you think about Miami, New England?
We all know New England's record in Miami for the last 7 years, even with Tom Brady. I don't know how New England's going to stop Waddle or Tyreek Hill. Their secondary, they don't have J.C. Jackson anymore. He's over there with the L.A. Chargers. And their secondary, which has always been very, very good, and Malcolm Butler, he brought him back. Working at a fast food restaurant, he was signed by the Patriots. He became a Pro Bowl player, and then gets signed by Tennessee, and he completely disappeared. And now he brings it back again. Who knows?
I have never been more angry at a Super Bowl than I was with that Malcolm Butler pick.
I think there's going to be a lot of surprises in the NFL this year. 2 or 3 teams that we wouldn't expect to have the records that they're going to have show up and just shock everybody. Like, for instance, the Browns. They have Jacoby Brissett into Week 11. So everybody expects that the Browns are not going to be a good team. And even though Jacoby Brissett is a decent quarterback, nobody thinks they're going to win more than 4 games. Who's to say Jacoby Brissett can't win 7 games with that team, with that offense, with that offensive line, with that defense, and that front seven? Yes. Yep.
And Good Luck scored more than 17, 20 on the Browns, and that's a good defense. The New England, Miami. Do you see New England, Bill Belichick, losing 3 times in a row to a team?
I don't know what to expect with this New England Patriot team. Mac Jones, who everybody says is healthy, he's lost a lot of weight, he's in the best condition of his career. He did not look good. Their wide receivers, they couldn't catch a lick in a preseason game. Yeah. What are they going to do against first-string defenses? So I don't know what the Patriots are going to be this year. And going into Miami in Week 1, that's a lot of pressure, not on the Miami Dolphins, a lot of pressure on the Patriots to come out a winner.
Miami, looking at the moves moves that they've made in the offseason, there's nothing that is blowing me away. Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs, outside of the Patriots, in the last 5 or 10 years have been one of the most well-run businesses in all of sports. The team that they built, there was something they saw that they did not re-sign him. They're not afraid to spend money. I'm very close to that team. I love Tyreek Hill. He's created some great moments, but you got to believe that the Chiefs were smarter in that than the Miami Dolphins. If Tyreek was worth it, they would have kept him. They knew they needed depth at the receiver position. The Miami-New England one is very interesting to me, but I just don't believe in the Miami hype until there's a reason to. That's a difficult division. New England, I still believe, win 9 games and probably come in second or third in the division. I think your Jets are a lot better than they're getting credit for.
Oh, absolutely.
Defensive-minded coach with good defensive personnel, which means he's probably going to try and pound the rock and protect the quarterback a little bit. That is not a bad Jets team.
Their secondary could be the best in football. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner and Michael Carter, who played very well in the slot last year. Bryce Hall coming off the bench, who is definitely a capable corner. Practically every single quarter that they dropped, 7 of them, all of them were picked up right away. The Jets lost more players off the waiver wire than any team in football. And that just tells you what Joe Douglas has done in the last couple of years when it comes to draft and some of the free agents he's brought in.
But the league, we haven't had good nicknames like the Sauce in a long time. Do we have any really great nicknames out there?
No.
Sauce could be great. Let him get a pick 6 in week 1. Let the Sauce take over.
Nobody is going to throw to him. There might be 2 or 3 looks the whole game they're going to throw to him. I think teams are really starting to really see what this guy does on the practice field. This guy's the first guy out at 4 o'clock in the morning. Throughout the preseason, he was out there first before the quarterbacks. He was working with the coaches, and this guy's the last guy to leave the field. That's not what you hear from a cornerback type of player. This guy wants to be a winner. Going into the season, I think teams already know that, already figuring out that if you throw it to his side, you better be ready to throw either over the shoulder or don't throw it down the field because this guy can outrun you. He's long, and he's capable of taking the ball away from you. So it's going to be fun to watch. Out of all the things going into the Baltimore game, week 1 for the New York Jets, the guy that I want to see more than anybody is Sauce Gardner, what he could do on the field and what teams are going to do against him offensively, where he is going to adjust himself as a rookie and figure it out. I think he's a special player. I think the Jets haven't had a player like this since Revis. Who knows? Maybe Sauce becomes better than Revis. So I'm not going to say that because Revis, to me, is one of the top 3 corners to ever play the game. But this guy's got the length. Revis didn't have the length like this guy. This guy's 6'3". He's got the speed. He's got the leaping ability, ability to run routes with any wide receiver in the league. I think he's going to be very hard to throw to, and I think quarterbacks are going to realize that really early, including Josh Allen. They put Stefon Diggs with him, which I would think they would be nuts to do that. But if they do, they're going to have problems throwing it to him.
Owned Notre Dame last year, and there is an intangible that comes with players that don't go to Power 5 schools. He went to Cincinnati. So they're kind of on that next tier, the American Athletic.
They're headed to the Big 12.
Yeah, they're about to be in the Big 12, although the Big 12, you could argue, belongs with some high school once Texas and Oklahoma leave. But nonetheless, that Notre Dame game was probably the biggest game of his career outside of the playoff game. And then the D-line gets a little bit stronger, right? You got a corner eliminating half of the field. That's Revis Island. Put players on an island, and you couldn't throw to that side of the field, and then the D-line's a little bit better.
Absolutely. And the games to watch, I believe, San Francisco and Chicago. Bet San Francisco. I would bet a boatload on San Francisco. There's no way Chicago wins that game.
That's a 7-point spread.
Oh, I would bet it. Even San Francisco going to Chicago, I would absolutely bet it. It's not going to rain. It's not going to snow. So I don't think there's any benefit on betting against San Francisco in this game. I would bet big money on San Francisco in this game. Another game, well, everybody's going to bet on Indianapolis because they're playing Houston, even though they're going to Houston. Nobody thinks Houston's going to be any good this year. I think they'll be in the game early because Houston played very well in the first half of the game all season long last year and then died out in the second half. I think it's going to be the same this year. I like Mills. I like what they've done over the last couple of years as far as their drafts is concerned. I just think they're rebuilding. The game to really stand out more than anything is Washington and Jacksonville. Jacksonville going to Washington. This is a good game to bet on, especially for Washington with the crowd over there. And Jacksonville just defensively, I don't know what to expect. They drafted Walker as their number 1 pick. I'm still questioning that number 1 pick. I'm still questioning some of the things that they've done over the last couple of years as an organization. I think Trevor Lawrence has a good game. I think he throws over 300 yards, but it's not going to be enough. I think Washington's defense is as good as any in football. I think they're one of the more underrated defenses in all of football.
I agree with you 100% in their defense. Trevor Lawrence could throw for 300 yards, although not a lot of teams can put up that kind of yardage against Washington. They do not have a fantastic offense, and Carson Wentz is not going to make things any better. In fact, fact, he's going to give Jacksonville some opportunities. That's just who he is. Whether he tries to make something happen with his legs and he gives the ball away, or he just foolishly throws an interception because they were down by 7. But Washington's defense is always going to be there. That's Ron Rivera. His teams struggle offensively. They are shut down defenses, especially against the run. He had to have Cam Newton on an MVP season in order to actually put up points and be a dangerous team. I think that game's a coin flip. I don't see it being a lot of points. The over-under is 44. That's a tough one.